The tech company is run by a prodigy engineer, Ren, who also acts as the CTO. She states that her motive is to create a real exciting experience for those who can't afford to do so. However, deep inside, her motive is to revive her brain-dead brother, Jared. Jared drowned while the two were surfing on the beach. The accident has put him in a coma and has been on life support ever since. Ren believes that by stimulating his brain with other life, his brain neurons will be sparked and will start functioning again. Despite being the creator of the tech, Ren and Jared's father, Robert, is aware of the risks of permanent brain damage and dissociation from reality, which makes him pull out from the project. He has been against the technology ever since. Not wanting to let her brother go, Ren patented the technology and established the company that leads her to her current condition. One day, Ren is testing new adventures as a potential product to pitch the investors. She is accompanied by her assistant, Byron, in applying the nanits and monitoring her conditions. Once the nanits are applied, her vision becomes blurry and she wakes up in a hut located on the Alps. First-person vision, sense of touch, even the chilling air of the mountains feels just like the way it should be. After enjoying the scenery, she hikes the mountain to ready herself going down the hill. As she goes through the trees, Byron monitors her brain activity outside. The adventure ends with a feeling of excitement and satisfaction, or at least that's how it should be. Unfortunately, Ren's mind is resetted to experience the adventure again. Her brain starts to show symptoms of overloading that the scenery starts to change. Byron reaches out for the emergency drug to unplug her. Luckily, Ren as the text developer is able to convince herself to get out. She spends a total of 6.5 days in the virtual world, which makes her wake up a bit shocked. Despite the bad experience, she is determined to develop the Alps adventure as it may bring a lot of investments. With her determination to win potential funding, she directly goes to the investors' pitching session. There, Sam, her partner and the CEO, is selling the idea of using other life as means of training and rehabilitation. As other life is about to go live in a week, Ren asks for more servers to debug her programs, to which Sam rejects as the company is financially constrained. Outside, her boyfriend Danny is waiting to ask her out, but she rejects him and spends the night working. She finally finds the bug and successfully debugs the error by just adding a few lines of codes. After confirming that the Alps program is secured, she continues to work on her own project to save her brother. Danny comes to pick Ren and Byron up and have some fun, but Ren decides to stay. She prints some nanits and tests it on herself later that day. After confirming some progress in the prototype, she applies it to her brother in hope that he will wake up soon. Surprisingly, his eye twitches, but the nurse denies her hope and says that it happens sometimes. Determined to save her brother, she decides to start working again until suddenly, an email from her father comes in, requesting her consent to unplug her brother. The next day, Ren sneaks into his father's class to chat with him. They argue on the safety and usage of other life, but Ren insists that she will save her brother with it. Seeing her stubbornness, Robert evades and asks for Ren's support to unplug Jared as he is brain-dead already, to which of course Ren rejects. To add to her problem, Ren arrives at her office and notices that she has been secluded from many projects as her partner Sam demands. Her access has been revoked and even her assistant Byron is directly reporting to Sam now. Turns out, Sam has found out about Ren's private project to save her brother, which is costing the company a lot. Byron also notices that Ren's private simulation is long-term, meaning that it lasts more than 24 hours. Sam has supported the idea for a long time, but Ren declines it as it may damage the human brain if used frequently. Seeing the chance, Sam reveals that yesterday's potential investor is the head of the Department of Corrections. They are planning to make a virtual confinement where convicted fellows will only need to serve 1 minute in lifetime to fulfill their 1-year virtual confinement. Ren opposes the idea as she wants to broaden minds with the tech, and she leaves angrily. Outside, her boyfriend Danny comes to her. Ren doesn't want to talk about her problems and they end up spending some time in her apartment. Feeling bad about her reaction, Ren lets Danny surf down the Alps. After experiencing the excitement for the first time, Danny uses another dose unsupervised and takes the wrong nanits. He takes Ren's private project and experiences a seizure, as the prototype is new and untested. After realizing that he took the wrong nanits, Ren panics and calls for an ambulance. During investigation, Sam immediately knows that Danny took the wrong nanits, and uses the fact to corner Ren. Sam has been planning to sell Ren out and has worked behind her back with the Department of Corrections. She is charged with unauthorized human testing, drug fraud, malpractice, and can face up to 10 to 15 years of prison time. They propose to call the trial off and save the company, if Ren agrees to be a test subject for the 1-year virtual prison confinement. Sam convinces that all she has to do is spend 1 minute of her life, and all of the problems will be solved, but Ren refuses. With restrained anger, Sam finally reveals that Danny is dead. Overflowed with guilt, Ren finally accepts the confinement with Byron monitoring her condition. With a drop of nanits, Ren starts her 1-year virtual solitary confinement. She wakes up in a small cell with pitch-black nothingness outside. In the cell, a large LED board to count the days is present. She also finds a tablet, food and water, and some bathing essentials. Without any human interaction and anything to do, Ren is immediately bored and desperate on her first day. Fortunately, the first day has passed and all of the stuff inside the cell is resetted as she enters the second day. After fulfilling her daily needs, she mourns Danny's death while blaming herself. As time goes by, Ren remembers about the fateful day when her brother had the accident which put him in the current state. Still determined to save her brother, she recollects her research on brain-dead patients from her memory and analyzes it. She goes through the studies one by one and meets a dead end. As a result, she starts talking to herself and questions all of her convictions. Luckily, the last day is here. She waits with impatience to get out, but the counter starts at 1 again. Feeling tricked and desperate, she lets her anger out and wrecks the room. Suddenly, she feels a gust of wind blowing her hair, coming out of the food chamber. She tears a plastic layer and forces her way out of the cell. Seeing the fact, she is convinced that she has been kept within the container for a full year of lifetime. To confirm her idea, she inspects the surroundings and finds a lot of canned food and drinks that she has eaten for the year she spent inside. She also finds a monitoring room full of camera footage to monitor her condition. As she is being chased after, she drives away with anger, convinced that she has been fooled by Sam all along. Meanwhile, Other Life is a much more popular product now with advertisements everywhere. In seek of help, Ren goes to her old office to see that it's been abandoned for a long time. Wanting to report the crime Sam has done, Ren goes to a police office to find that she has been declared as a missing person for the past year. There is also no charges against her for accidentally murdering Danny. Ren then invites them to the container where she has been kept, to convince them of her condition, but there is no trace left there. Ren then hopelessly goes to her old apartment. Unfortunately, a new tenant has been in her room for the past year. She also can't find her hard disk containing the private project to save her brother. Suddenly, Sam comes and Ren immediately flees the scene when the situation is clear. She wanders helplessly around the city and finally asks for help from her dearest friend and former colleague, Cass. Cass believed that Ren cashed out and left without saying goodbye. Realizing that Ren is the victim, Cass finally opens herself to Ren's explanation. Hearing this, Cass explains that Danny hasn't died and the two finally meet and embrace. Danny states that he was only hospitalized that day, but is cleared after some tests. Other Life was also a big hit when launched 5 days after. New options have also been added in the application of Other Life, with the confinement program as the backbone. Moreover, Sam is planning to expand the virtual prison's duration to 10 to 20 years, even centuries as multiple lifetime sentences. Hearing this, Ren explains that she doesn't care about the company that Sam has stolen. What she needs is her code to save her brother. Cass and Danny are moved by Ren's honesty and they decide to help her get it back. They sneak into the office with Cass guiding them over the call. Ren decides to confront Byron first and finds her hard disk in Byron's office. The two then immediately try to leave, but the guards are already on their tail. Cass manages to help them before finally getting caught herself. In need of shelter and a nanite printer, they rush to Ren's father's house on the outskirts. She then spends the night checking her code to make sure nothing has changed. Realizing how kind and loving Danny is, Ren apologizes and they make up in the morning. Suddenly, her father comes home and the two meet after being separated. Ren continues to explain that her private project is not only long-term, but also interactive, meaning that the user can pick a scenario, unlike the regular linear scripted adventures that Other Life has been producing. However, that day, Danny wasn't aware of it and subconsciously chose to drown. Luckily, Ren has hidden the final prototype of this new version of Other Life from Sam and Byron. She prints the nanits and leaves to save her brother. After having the choice to resurface from the water, Jared opens his eyes for the first time. However, his condition becomes unstable and he starts having seizures. In his memory, he sees Ren on that fateful day but doesn't recognize her. Ren can't stand seeing her brother in pain, so she depressingly unplugs him and lets him go. She grieves badly as she still can't save her beloved brother, even after all these years of hard work and ordeals. At night, Sam comes and says that Jared has chosen to stay in the dream world rather than wake up. This statement makes Ren realize that she has been in her own world and starts seeing flashes of real life. Byron administers the emergency drug on Ren and she is getting pulled out of the virtual world. The nanits finally fades and her focus is shifted towards the real world once more. She immediately punches Sam in the face and wreaks havoc in the room. After calming down and processing all the facts once more, she realizes that other life is a threat and not a solution, especially in the wrong hands. She decides to withdraw her stakes and leave the company. Hearing this, Sam becomes curious about what has happened to Ren in there. After leaving, Ren attends Danny's funeral and calls her father. She informs that she is done with other life and invites him to meet at the hospital. Out of the blue, Sam calls and urgently asks her to come to the office. Cass has heard about what happened and escorts her into the room. The company is immediately shut down upon Ren's resignation. However, Sam and Byron are still ambitious on the tech's development. From Ren's brain scan, they know that Ren has broken free from the virtual prison, which is supposed to be impossible. It means that her brain is not only making active choices, but also actively creating new experiences out of the script. Sam is so excited with the potency, but Ren rejects it as she has known the consequences. He wants to reverse engineer the code, but it needs another trial with Ren as the test subject. Of course, Ren doesn't want to go back and rejects it clearly. Sam is enraged and forces the nanits onto Ren. Once more, Ren is confined in the 1-year virtual prison. She screams out loud in fear and desperation. Realizing that her brain is more powerful than the nanits, she calms herself and actively changes the virtual environment. This time, she makes the time flow much faster. Ren wakes up in a matter of seconds and catches Sam off guard. She puts some nanits on Sam's eye, confining him in his own little world that he has created. Sam starts having seizures, but Ren lets him experience the things that she has gone through. Wanting Sam to feel the same desperation that she has felt, Ren waits for the 366th day before finally breaking him free. Sam whimpers in fear and Ren takes her leave without saying a word. Another thing that she has also learnt from the dream world is that her brother Jared wants to rest in peace. She meets her father at the hospital and says her goodbye to her dear brother for the second time. Ren finally makes peace with her current condition and lets her brother go with a smile.